Down by 2, now they're out of timeouts.
Down by 2, 1.3 left. Down 2, gets a shot off.
Down by 2.
Yeah, hi, how are you? Here is another episode of That Down by 2 podcast, brought to you by the good old folks at Crier Media. Visit crier.co for all things DB2 and sports-related content, and by our good old friends at Indestructible MFG. Visit indestructible.com and use promo code DOWNBY2 for 15% off your next order. And by our good old pals over at Yup Beer. Remember these guys? Remember Yup? Yeah, visit Yup Beer online, yupbeer.com, to find a location near you, now available in grocery stores and beer stores across Ontario. I am not drinking Yup Beer right now. I'm on a little bit of the vino train. Kind of over beer right now because I drank too many in the airport lobby, which we'll get into in a minute. Tired of spending $15 on a beer, but you don't have to do that with Yup Beer because it's only $1.95. So
you could drink like 7 or 8 of those for $15.
Yeah, crush them down your gully. What's going on? It's your boy Josh Elijah. Birdman, how
Heyo.
you doing?
What's up, baby?
Buddy, good to see you.
Honestly,
again.
just happy to be here. Happy to be alive, and with my 2 feet planted on the Earth's crust.
Oh my god!
You know?
Oh, okay. Yeah, let's just fucking dive into it.
Should we just go right into it?
Let's just get right into it. We're probably going to turn this into a separate piece itself. But for any of you who flies out of Canada, out of Pearson, out of the Hamilton airport, if you even want to call it an airport, London, what have you, Canadians, there is this airline called Flair Airlines. It's a discount brand airline, kind of like Swoop. If you've swooped before, budget friendly. You pay $80 and you get on a plane, and pretty affordable, right? Where they try to get you is the add-ons and what have you. You know, they'll charge you an extra $50 for a carry-on.
Well, they're greasy about it.
Extra $76 if you want to pick your own seat. Like they'll catch you each and every way. Like, oh yeah, you want text messages from us for alerts when your plane is being delayed? That's an extra $5. It's just around every corner. You have to click no about 24 times before you actually get to the checkout. Not a problem. You just don't add them on.
You just got to know what you're doing, really.
And like, for doing this with us, like, we're heading down to Orlando, obviously, for our coverage on the Orlando Magic. So a lot of the times the options that we had to be able to choose from to get to Orlando were from Pearson Airport, leaving at 6:30 a.m. and getting down to cover the game later that day, usually around a 7 o'clock start. And we're only there for the weekend. So we will book a ticket 6:30 a.m., get down there for 7. Plenty of time to be able to check in the hotel, and then only carry a backpack, traveling super light, and then we're back on a Sunday. So really not too much to worry about there. And we were heading down for our first coverage that was going down on the Friday. Philadelphia 76ers in town to face the Orlando Magic. We're pretty pumped to go down and do our first coverage with the Magic this season. And we get there. I mean, like, we're doing the best we can. We're on time. We got to the airport. We were up by 4 at the airport for 4:30. Gave us plenty of time. Check-in was a breeze. Customs great, no problem. And we're in the airport having ourselves a 5 a.m. beer because fucking why not? You're there and you're allowed. So might as well. We get on the plane. Plane ride's fine, just take off. And for me, I have a bit of anxiety flying. So yeah, that's maybe why I might be having a pint or two at 5 o'clock in the morning. Right. So I get on the plane and I pass out. And
in a good way. You didn't pass out because you're scared. You passed out because you're sleepy.
I'm sleepy.
You had the sleeper beer in you. And,
we've only had about we went to bed at around midnight, so we only had about 4 hours of sleep. We're operating on fumes at this point, and we got a big day ahead of us. So I'm going to catch a wink where I can. Now I wake up and we're touching down, and the turbulence wakes me up. And Buddy sitting next to me, he's just like, oh yeah, we had to turn back to Toronto. And I'm just like, yeah, this guy's funny. And nice joke, asshole. And then I turn over to look out the window, and I see snow on the ground. And I'm like, oh, this ain't the O. This ain't Orlando. And
Yeah, I
and
know it was
then
supposed to be chilly that weekend, but damn, that's a lot of
damn.
snow. What the hell?
So then I understand that there was a problem with the plane, and we end up offboarding off the plane, and just like we got to go back inside the airport. And now, Bird, why don't you explain what it was that I had missed? Because like with me being passed out, I'm really confused. I'm like, where the fuck am I at this point? So what did I miss when I was up in the air, on this flight that was heading to Orlando?
Well, I mean, for starters, none of us were sitting together. So Jake is up ahead a little bit. I'm like
Oh,
in the
we're scattered.
middle, and you're
Yeah.
behind me. So we're not even like together for any of this, which also sucks. But listen, the cool thing about this was on our way up, it was the smoothest takeoff, smoothest flight, and I'm thinking, wow, this is probably the best flight I've ever been on. It's
No.
been so smooth, and like listen, I'm on the side where the sun is rising. I pull out my
Oh.
phone, and we're just like, that like thin layer of clouds that's like super high up, and once you get up there, it's like it's literally just atmosphere and space, right?
That's my
So
favorite, and because at that point, like for me, the anxiety's gone, and I'm just in bliss, and I'm like,
exactly. Then
anything can
you're on
happen up
cruise
here,
control
and
at
I
that
don't
point.
care. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
So we're up there, and we're cruising, and I can see like the clouds are just like going by, and it looked so smooth. It kind of looked like we were driving on a road and there was fog or something. And then the sun starts coming up, and I'm filming it on my phone, and I'm like, oh, this is so picturesque, and like can't wait to show these to the boys when we get off. And then I see the plane do one of these and like start turning, and I'm like, oh, that's strange. It's a pretty sharp turn, considering how high we are. And then yeah, the pilot gets on the intercom. He's like, yeah, we have to turn back. There's a malfunction with the de-icing equipment. Yeah, so we have to turn back,
Oh,
unfortunately. And I'm
oh.
like, I'm pissed, bro. And like, so you're passed out, and I'm like, oh boy, like he's gonna be so cheesed when he wakes up. And then I see Jake look back, and we're making eye contact at each other, and we're like rolling our eyes and stuff, and we're like, oh fuck, man, like there goes the weekend. Like now it's just gonna be a headache. And then the guy gets on the intercom again, and he goes, we may be in for a rough landing. So be prepared. When we say over the intercom to brace for impact, the flight attendants will guide you through everything. And then he like hangs up the thing, and everyone's like, wait, did he just
What?
say
Oh.
brace for impact? Like, what's he talking about?
Ah.
Yeah. I'm like,
Oh.
oh, maybe he just means there's like,
Meanwhile, I'm just like,
oh,
just
dude, bro's got his hat fully down, AirPods in, the lips are just like,
just air pooping, just
I'm like, let's
because I
just
don't
leave him
actually
like that.
snore. I just kind of go, just lightly and
Yeah,
gently into
gent.
this guy who's sitting next to me into his ear.
Oh yeah, just a gentle fart coming out of your lips.
a little mouth
Um,
skirt.
yeah. So then the flight attendants come around, and they're like fully like teaching us how to properly like prepare for a crash landing. And they're like, so you have to put your hands under your legs, and like you have to duck like this, because if the plane like hits the ground, and stuff's flying, the seats will protect your head. I'm like, what? Like, pardon?
Oh boy.
Like this is really going down right now? Like fully showing us again how to like work the side
So the whole
emergency
like
doors.
head in between your legs, that like they're like,
Yes.
oh
Yes. You're
man.
like this. You're it dude. And Jake and I are like mouthing to each other, "What the fuck?" Like, "What?"
Oh
And
my
dude,
god.
there's like children crying, there's like ladies gasping, and then this guy beside me like grabs the flight attendant. He's like, you need to tell me what's going on right now. It was that big jacked like dad dude.
Oh yeah.
He's like,
Oh yeah.
you
We
need to
had a
tell me
couple.
what's going on right now. And then
Someone's got to
like,
get me the fuck out of here.
yeah. Where's the parachute? Get me the fuck out of here.
Oh man, yeah, that
Thankfully-
guy was crushing pints at the bar after.
Oh, dude, he was polluted.
Yeah.
But yeah, thankfully the landing was okay. Like it was totally fine. I guess they were just preparing everyone for worst possible scenario. And yeah, it was the worst. If dude, it was like a full 45 minutes. It felt like 4 days just descending to land, right? And yeah, I just knocked this out, but let's go back to it. There we go.
Something that I heard about just even the whole head in between your legs procedure sort of thing.
Yeah.
And the reason why they tell you to do that is so that when you do crash, like your neck just snaps and your death is that much quicker.
Oh,
That's what I've heard.
would have been nice to know. Okay.
Like that's the function that it
Sure.
serves. That's just a theory.
Well-
And like when you think about it, it makes sense. So
No, that does make sense because when I was down there practicing, I was like, this isn't very like comfortable. Is there a better way to do this?
yeah.
Yeah, I'm like sucking myself off over here. Like,
Oh, you gotta
what's going
suck
on?
in your gun. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was the longest 45 minutes ever, and thankfully we landed okay. I guess the issue was they were afraid that the landing gear wouldn't deploy properly if it froze over, right? If the antifreeze or whatever isn't working properly.
I thought it was
You
something to
can't
do
get
with
the
the
wheels.
flaps on the wings.
It could be the flaps too, but as we were
Nobody
going
really
down,
fucking knows.
I saw them moving, so I was like, okay, well that's a good sign. Like I don't really know what's going on here. I don't think they knew what was going on. Honestly, I
No.
feel like they even just like overbooked the fucking like tarmac in Florida, and they didn't have room for us, and they had to turn around or something. Like it's just like the dog shit airline.
because it
that had
doesn't-
no idea what was going on.
It doesn't make sense because like
Yeah, why
if
not?
it-
Yeah, tell me what they told us after.
Well, because don't even fuck, man. But like for me, like so what was confusing to me, it's just like so we were halfway there. And because I'm again asleep for all this, and then I find out after I'm like, we were halfway there, and the safety issue was, they're afraid that the wheels were frozen or the wings were frozen, whatever was frozen. I'm like, well, wouldn't that not be an issue when you go to fucking Florida, the Sunshine State, where there's no freezing at all? Like that's wouldn't that make a difference for me? So I'm like, it kind of sounds like bullshit. Otherwise, we could have just continued to fly down there. So something else is up. Then we get delayed.
Yeah,
I'm at the bar. I'm having a couple pints at this point. Jake is fucking long gone at this point. Like he's buzzed. He is Buzz Lightyear at this point. And we're just getting delayed.
Pooh was nutty at that point.
Pooh was nutty. He was feeling a bit nutty. He's fucking lack of sleep too. Definitely attributes to it.
Oh,
But you were just passed out on the fucking ground. You were just
I
like,
literally just slept on the floor.
I'm finding a dry patch here in this soggy ass airport, and just gonna fucking just wake me up until when we're ready to go. But that never really happened because they delayed us. It went from 11 to 1 to 3, and their plan of action, which nobody really knows what the fuck is going on here. Nobody.
The goofiest story I've ever heard.
The flight attendants, nobody knew. They were bringing new like crews in for the new flight, but then they got called off, and it was all over the place. But the bullshit that they fed us was, all right, here's the game plan. We're going to drive down a couple pilots to the Kitchener airport where there's a spare flare plane that we can bring from there. We're going to fly over to Toronto, scoop you guys up, bring you down to Orlando, make it to Disney. And I'm like, no.
That is the goofiest
cap
shit I have ever heard.
Fuck that. That is dumb.
Like,
are you? I'm like, I'm pretty sure I said to the flight, and I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, you expect me to believe that? Everyone is just rolling their eyes. They're like, this is insane. And that was just the biggest piss off, where it's just like, hey, flight gets canceled, shitty weather, whatever it is. I'd rather be safe than, something horrific happening. That's fine. But the fact that you just kept delaying and feeding
tell
us
me
bullshit, And it's just like it's just tell us so we don't have to stay at Pearson. Like Pearson is a gong show to begin with, and like I don't want to stay here. I don't want to be here anymore. I want to go home.
Yeah.
Right?
I
A
hate
little.
it here.
I hate it here. I want to go home. A little reference to Pursuit of Happiness. I was fucking in the Pursuit of Happiness that day. Like I was, man, it was honestly
Dude,
the
that
worst
story
experience.
is so crazy, like, the one that they told us about picking up a plane because these flights are
Where did you
booked
fly to
on the
Kitchener?
they're booked on the tarmac at the gates, like, months in advance. That's how this works
We
because
booked it months in
it's
advance.
such a tight schedule. Like, you can't just what is this? Like, I'm going to pick up my friend's car and just, like, whip it over? Like, no, it's a fucking Boeing airplane, bro. Like, you can't
Ah,
just
dog.
go pick up an airplane
Yeah,
and
man.
fly it into Pearson and be like, "Okay, hop in, ready to go."
Everybody.
Like,
It's still
it's
rolling.
just
It's just like
the most outrageous shit.
get
Yeah,
in,
it
get in.
rolls past the gate.
Yeah.
Yeah, fuck, man. I don't know.
Yeah, air traffic control. I mean, that is one of the most difficult, stressful jobs out there. Do you expect us to buy that bullshit? It is ridiculous. Yeah. I don't know. At the end of the day, they just kept lying through their teeth. So, for all the listeners, do not fly Flair. This is an official review of Flair Airlines. Do not fly Flair. The only reason why we're going to continue doing it is because we already have flights booked with them. So it's not gonna. It's nothing we can really do at this point because it is tough as hell to get your money back from them. So, spend the extra $100 on a legitimate airline. Do not fly Flair. Um, at least we got to spend the night in Saga City. Got to be a couple Saga City boys rolling
Oh,
around the
dude.
parking lot. Yeah,
We turned that day around real quick,
yeah,
and
man. That
I
was
had
some
such a
fun.
good time.
Oh man, yeah, we were fucking bombed too because like we put us up with one of the shitty airport hotels, but we actually got the one that was in the parking lot of a Scatterbush and a Jack Astor's and a Boston Pizza, and guess what? We hit them all up, right? And
Oh,
then we capped
we did the rounds, buddy. We
we
did them
did the we
all.
did the rounds. We did the rounds. We fucking ate like kings and drank our faces off. We hit up the Boston Pizza just like the old days and gave the bartender shit like it's the up bar, like it's Brit working up bar, giving him the gears. Just be like fucking
A gin
sending
and
drinks back.
soda? Really? I was like,
Yeah,
"Fuck you, buddy. I'll leave
yeah. The
then."
guy's just you ordered gin and soda. He laughed in your face. He's just
I
like,
know. I was
you're
like,
like, I'll take a gin and soda. He's like, really? And he's like, yeah. Is that a problem? He's just like, you sure you don't want it with tonic? And it's like, no, you fucking moron. We'll take it with soda, please. And then he serves it to you in a tall glass. So it's just like to
"Yeah, what
even
am I,
just
a
make
baby?
more fun
Like,
of you.
here's
It's
my
like,
little sippy cup. Like, thanks."
oh man, it's so ridiculous. And then we went to the casino and lost a bunch of money. It was fucking fantastic.
Hey,
It
I
was.
didn't. I was up. I was up, baby.
Oh yeah, man. I mean, I figured out gambling with Jake. Shout out Jakey boy, Jake Trenham. Love you, dog. I'm not gonna ride with you anymore, man. Like I gotta go my own route. I ain't gonna follow the stink of the
The
poo. I can't
boys
do
are
it.
feeling black, and Jake's like, "Nah, I'm feeling red."
And then it's like, all right, well, I guess like, come on, you go roll red. And then I'm like, I guess so. And then it's fucking black, and it's just like, oh god damn it, like no, not doing this. And then
We were crushing blackjack though.
Yeah, we should have
That
just
was
ended it with
awesome.
blackjack, man. Should have just
Yeah.
done that while we had control. But hey, that's what happens when you gamble. So that's it. Don't fly flare. Not much more to say about that. Lots more to say about this episode. Obviously, because of the events of last week, we ended up missing that episode, but we came back with a banger. Really stoked to have this guy on. We've been chatting a lot back and forth. Actually, a friend that we mentioned during our interview with him, friend of Mickle from Mike Fulmer as well. Recommended this guy to come onto the show. He is a writer for the Nation Network. That's Leafs Nation and NHL Trade Rumors as well. Shane Seney on the show. Great. I mean, he's such a knowledgeable guy with all like sports across the board, especially hockey. But we didn't have him on to talk any sort of puck really. We actually had him on to talk a bit of basketball as well and talk about some picks. We really cover all of our bases. He shares some experiences when he was overseas covering the games in Sweden, and he's going to be down covering the All-Star weekend as well in Toronto. But yeah, man, great guy to have on the show. So let's just fire it right the fuck up right now. This is Shane Seney joining us from the Nation Network. Enjoy. Really stoked to have this guest on this show. It's actually been a long time coming. We've been missing each other at parties that are through our mutual friend, Mikey Fulmer. Shout out, Mikey. Miss you, buddy. But it's really, really excited to have this guy on the show. He's a writer on the Nation Network, more specifically the Leafs Nation and NHL Trade Rumors as well. We have Shane Seney on the show, my man. Shane, thank you so much for taking the time to jump on with us here today as well.
Thanks for having me. Nice to meet you, boys. It's been a pleasure already, and can't wait to jump in. So I'm glad we could finally get together.
Yeah, hell yeah. I mean, we're definitely gonna we gotta have you back on the show because I know that hockey is your strong suit, but it's been too crazy of a week when it comes to the NBA that we just got to dive into some of that stuff as well before we address any sort of hockey talk as well. But before we even get into sports, let's just kind of dial it back and find a little bit more about where your background's from and how you got into sports writing as well, and just chatting before the show as well. This is a real full circle moment for you and for this show and the network as well. So would love to hear a little bit about your background here.
Yeah. So kind of got started about, I would say, 8 years ago now.
Yeah.
Just scrolling through Twitter, and Dean Blundell was looking for a sports writer, and I was in between jobs at the time. So it was kind of like perfect timing for the both of us.
Wow.
So kicked off deanblundell.com. We are hammering out just as many blogs as possible about absolutely fucking anything. So
Yeah.
we just tried to set as many fires as we could and walk away from them. It's kind of what the MO was. But that was, we put in a Saul. I put in a Saul. He's obviously still doing things now with you guys and through Crier, but I put through probably a solid 5 years with him. And then I actually got a message from a buddy of mine, and it was a hockey article from NHL Trade Rumors. And I was like, who the fuck wrote this?
Yeah.
So I ended up just contacting them, being like, listen, I think I could, help you guys out. I'm really interested in doing some more hockey writing. So I sent the message off, not really thinking much of it. And next thing you know, landed an interview for that and ended up getting the job. Been there about 4 years now with them. So we've expanded from NHL to NFL, MLB, and NBA. So we got all 4 sports covered now. So
yeah,
from there, man, I kind of just fell into another job with the hockey writers, and was covering the Leafs and the Penguins for them. Did that for a couple of years. And
amazing.
Then the Nation Network reached out and wanted me on the Leafs Nation. So I've been there for coming up to a year now. So yeah, it's going great, man.
No, that's awesome. That's great to hear, man. And just that's a full circle moment as well. And originally Dean signed us on to the Dean Blundell Network, and then it's now sort of transitioned over to Crier Media. Obviously, just wanting his name off of the face of the network at least, but be more on the back end when it comes to operations, and really just growing out the network and creating that sort of all around collective between news, sports, and podcasts as well. So really great to have you on the show and back on the network as well. Anything coming up in the future? Any goals that are coming up for the network that you're currently with right now?
Yeah, so we got a ton of coverage for the All-Star game coming up in Toronto. So there's going to be a bunch of live shows that the whole Nation Network has. I know it's going to be sweet. So check out dailyfaceoff.com. We got Flames Nation, Oilers Nation. So they're going to be doing a bunch of stuff down there. And then for me personally, I got my Maple Leafs Minute coming out. It's kind of a spin-off the TikTok account that I created.
Yeah.
So I'll be doing some short videos starting after the All-Star break. So pretty pumped for that too.
Damn, awesome. Love that. And you were doing some coverage as well overseas recently that I saw as well.
Yeah, man. Went over to Sweden in November for the Global Series, and what a time. Just like hockey, partying, and good food for 5 days. You can't really complain about that. So really cool. Stockholm was awesome. Like, such a clean city. People were great. Everybody spoke English. This kind of mandatory in school over there.
Yeah.
Just beautiful people everywhere. Everybody's beautiful over there. But no, we had a great time. A buddy of mine from Wales joined me, and I kind of got him into hockey last year, and We just had a good time for 5 days, and the coverage was great. I met a bunch of people. I ended up being on like Spit and Chicklets doing an interview with them.
No shit.
Yeah, we
Wow.
just done a bunch of Jaeger shots too at the restaurant. So I was feeling
Wow.
no pain. So yeah, it was a good time. I basically said I'd give up absolutely everything for a Maple Leafs cup. And yeah, my girlfriend wasn't too happy about that after
Yeah.
after she saw that go viral. So what can you
Oh
do? What
man,
can you
I
do?
mean, we're all thinking it, but you're the one that's brave enough to say it.
Yeah,
after the
exactly.
Jaegers.
I blame the Jaeger for sure, but no, met met Merles over there from Spit and Chicklets, and yeah, great guy, great time. It was fun, a lot of fun.
Oh man,
That's
any
so
other
cool.
standout moments from being down in Sweden? I mean, like that seems to take the cake, but like just
Oh yeah.
even when I was watching and reporting on some of those games as well, did you notice a different style or a different flow to the game, different energy as opposed to any games that are set here in Canada and the States?
Yeah, totally. So the dome, it was a dome first off, and it sat like 13,000 people, so a little bit smaller than Scotiabank. And I noticed like nobody boos, like you don't hate on anybody there. So
Yeah.
the crowd's just vibes the whole time. Like any song that came on, doesn't matter, old, new, everybody's singing, clapping, having a good time. So the atmosphere in the building was incredible, both games. Even considering the Leafs game, it started off horrible. Like I
Hmm.
think it was 1-0 for like the first 2 periods. So
Yeah.
no, it was a really good time. The one really cool moment I never forget was we were sitting there just enjoying some cider at the Fan Fest, doing some coverage there, and we were just sitting on a picnic table inside the tent. And then all of a sudden, it's like Matt Sundin and William Nylander, like, boom, right there. And it's like, wow, Matt's like the one that's the guy. Like he carried the Leafs
That's
for
the
almost
guy.
right.
That's the
So
guy. Yeah.
so Nylander was definitely the king over there. Like everybody was talking about
Oh
him and
yeah.
shit. But when Sundin walks in, it's just a different presence for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh man, like that's got to be up there in like the upper echelon of different people that you'd want to be able to have on a show or be able to interview. Did you have a chance to interview any of the players that are down there and get to chatting with them?
I ended up writing a couple of articles while I was over there, but getting anybody's time over there was tough. Like
Yeah.
they held like media conferences as opposed to like getting into the dressing room and those kind of things. So
Mhm.
the setup was a little bit different that way, but you make the most of it, and
Yeah.
everybody was pretty happy with how things turned out. So
Absolutely. I mean, it's even crazy, and just like as we've been getting into more media coverage and the credentials that we've been getting across the NBA and NFL and breaking out into other leagues as well, is when you finally have the chance to start talking to these players and asking them questions in the locker room. Like you do get a little bit of nerves where it's just like
yeah,
kind of get caught in mouth for a second because you are starstruck, just like you would be if you had the chance to talk with Matt Sundin, and then when you have the
yeah.
chance to start talking to some of these guys that you follow on a regular basis. So you just got to keep your cool, keep calm and collected, and deliver your questions there. So, I mean, that's sweet. That's sweet. That's obviously a lot of things that are going for you, and we definitely want to have you back on to just cover Leafs. Like I mentioned, we'll cover some puck, maybe post
Sounds
trade
good.
deadline, what have you. But let's just jump into a couple keynotes here on a busy week in the NBA. I feel like there's just been a lot of craziness that's been going on as of late. A lot of crazy storylines, which the NBA is always good for. But let's just kick things off with a crazy firing of the Milwaukee Bucks, letting go of their head coach Adrian Griffin. Obviously, Griffin being an assistant coach for the Toronto Raptors for a number of years as well, then taking that head coaching position, which a lot of people thought that the Raptors should have given that to him. He ends up obviously taking the Milwaukee Bucks. Just this is just after they had released or fired Mike Budenholzer as their head coach. So now they're on their third head coach in a matter of months, which is nuts. I'll kick it over to you, Bird. What's can you make sense of any of this and why they might have done this?
I get the sense that he was just like way in over his head and just had no idea what he was doing. Like rookie head coach, like you got to expect some growing pains, but with a roster of that caliber, you need the results immediately. There's no time to mess around. And it just seems like he just didn't have a voice in the room to begin with. And maybe that all stems from, the like very public outburst he had with Terry Stotts, where he stepped down right afterwards, right? And I think that is not a very good first impression on your star players, especially a guy like Dame, who I would assume that was part of the pitch to get him to come in, was bringing on Terry Stotts, right? It's longtime head coach in Portland. And
Right.
I think that they all just got a sense of just like, who the hell is this guy? Like, what's he doing? And I don't know if you saw I don't know if you saw that viral clip that was going around not too long ago of Giannis drawing up the plays on the sidelines. Did you catch that, Josh?
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
oh yeah,
I
man.
don't I don't know if he's
That's
actually
tough.
like drawing up a play or just like scribbling his name over and over, but like
Yeah.
it's just such a bad look, man.
Tic-tac-toe.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
And
No
like the
good.
front office sees that and they're probably just like, all right, you got to get this clown out of here. Like, it's just not working out.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely seems like, especially when you have a huge talent like Damian Lillard that comes over. The Bucks did exactly what Giannis asked for. First of all, I mean, I don't think that they should have moved off Budenholzer so quick. He
I
just
don't either.
won them a chip. Like, I don't get why they would have done that so hastily. I don't think he's the best coach, but he still managed to get them a NBA championship. So I thought that was a little hasty for them to move off of him so quick. Bring in Adrian Griffin. Now you got Damian Lillard. It's a lot for a rookie head coach to be able to manage. But now you move on over to Doc Rivers, and you guys know how I feel.
Did they
about
upgrade
Doc Rivers? But I mean, Shane, like, do you like this move to bring in Doc Rivers, or do you think they would have been better off with Adrian Griffin?
I get why they do that, because Rivers, obviously his resume is decorated as hell. He's dealt with like multiple star players on the same team, a lot of personalities. So I understand like that dynamic. But like I'm kind of surprised it happened too, because I read something how like the GM and his family got a dog and they weren't really happy with its name. And then the impression that Adrian Griffin made on him made him change the dog's name to Griff. So his dog's name's Griff. And then shit like this happens, right? So like like going back to what Jess said about like Giannis drawing up the play, like apparently there was a lot of just confusion on how they were using Brook Lopez, and it was like really getting to the team on like either defensive coverage or pick and rolls, what have you. So it just seemed like while Giannis and Lillard could do whatever they wanted, that Griffin really wasn't using all the tools properly. And the thing is too, when he got the job, like Drew Holiday was still there and they were a different team. So apparently his interview, he was talking about the defensive structure of the team and how he was going to shore that up and get them back to where they wanted to be. And then what do you know, a couple of weeks later, the whole team dynamic is completely changed. So he was 30-13 when he got canned. I think I saw something today, a coach with this high of a winning percentage hasn't been fired since like 2015. So this kind of shit doesn't happen very often, obviously.
No,
but,
it doesn't.
But no, it kind of makes sense why they brought in Rivers, because like he's one of the only names left out there that still want to coach, that you can bring him in and people are like, oh, okay, like I guess that kind of makes sense.
You know what you're gonna get with him. I think he's fucking trash. I don't like him as a coach at all.
Is this his last chance? Like this gotta be, right?
Gives a fuck. I don't care. Like, man, like he hasn't done shit since he got that one ring with the Celtics. Like he hasn't been able to do.
And look at that team too, right? Like, come on.
Yeah. So I mean, sure, yeah. That's the thing, is that like they've gotten worse since Budenholzer. Like it's just they really should have just held on to him. I think, I don't know. At least he figured out how to get them to the finals and then obviously get a chip as well. Doc Rivers. I mean, like he really is one of the only options. I don't know why he would want to like be a head coach again. Because he was, I thought he was looking pretty good. Post coaching career, he had broadcasting going on and stuff. So. Work in media, at least. I think it's the Bucks now. I mean, like, does this now affect their championship odds. I mean, they're not quite they're up there, but they're not at the top seed for favorites to win. I believe the Celtics have that as of right now when it comes to odds to win it all. But does this make them a better team now? I mean, I guess we're just gonna have to wait and see, aren't we?
Yeah, I would say it's like there's no way they can be worse, especially defensively. Like I read something they're like 28th in defensive rating this month, which is just insane considering the roster, right? So you got to imagine Doc's gonna kick that up. Like he's a defensive minded guy, so
Yeah.
he's gonna improve that. And I mean, if that's the one area that they really need to improve, that's not so bad. Like maybe just deploying Giannis and Dame properly together has been, the biggest learning curve so far. But I mean, you still got time to figure that part out. It's the defense that needs to be fixed.
Well, that's what you get when you ship one of your defensive anchors and Drew Holiday away for Damian Lillard, who doesn't fucking play defense. So, I mean, that's what you're looking at. I mean, yeah, sure, he'll probably be able to utilize Brook Lopez a little bit better. I mean, you're looking at him; he's a top ranked center right now. So it's like I don't know. There's too many fingers to point right now. I just think that 30-13, that record wasn't good enough for the team that they've constructed. But like again, they did give up a bit for Damian Lillard. So we'll have to see how that kind of plays out. I mean, you're looking over at a couple other juggernauts in the Eastern Conference right now. I mean, it looks like it's going to be Boston. Like it's tough to not think that Boston's got an easy route to the NBA Finals, but you also can't count out the 76ers. Now, Shane, obviously, the 76ers on a bit of a roll with our former coach, Nick Nurse. We were actually supposed to be in Orlando covering them this week, but I'm not getting into that. I'm not getting into that anymore.
We're saving that for the intro.
Yeah. I'm not getting into that anymore. Right? We'll talk about that shit later. But when it comes to Joel Embiid, obviously scoring 70 on the anniversary of Kobe Bryant's 81 as well, which is just nuts. And then having Cat as well drop 62, but nobody gives a fuck because it's not even the highest score total that day, which is hilarious.
I think he scored like 2 points in the fourth quarter too. He was just horrendous.
Yeah, well, he was chasing buckets, man. He's chasing buckets, and that's what you. And then you'll lose. Yeah, it's crazy. But looking at Joel Embiid, is this another opportunity for him to capture an MVP title back-to-back as well, like Jokic did?
Absolutely, for sure. He's like doing historic shit right now. Like it's not even like he's the best player in the league. Like he's starting to put himself in like some of the best players of all time category. Like the numbers he's putting up. What impresses me too is just like how good of a shooter he's becoming. Like from the free throw line, he's like 90%. Like you remember like back in the day,
so crazy.
There was no fives making free throws. Like that was the thing. Like obviously you hack a Shaq, but all the other centers in the league couldn't shoot either. So he's just like totally like turned the position into something that like it's a mix between old school and new school, which is kind of like why I like him so much, because he's got a little bit of everything. But like to drop a 70-piece nugget on somebody's head, like Kobe Day 2, like that's kind of cool. I love that shit when stuff like that happens. But
big time,
he's so good. Like he's just, I think like people don't really appreciate how good he is, considering like where he came from when he learned how to play basketball. Like he used to just be the tall kid. Like so he's just turned into a real good player.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, you're just looking at some of his recent totals, like after that 70 points that he did the other day, 33, 30, 36, 41, 41. Like, this guy is an absolute bucket. This is insane. He's just doing literally everything too. He's dishing the ball, he's crashing the boards. It's all around just insane. And it's crazy to see the dynamic that's changed since shipping James Harden over to the LA as well, which we actually just released a piece on that. And I'll kick this over to you, Bird, just to elaborate a little bit on what we were talking about earlier today with the Clippers. Things are flowing for them too, and it looks like Harden's finally found a fit, which is, I guess at the end of the day, this is where he wanted to be, and it seems to be working. Do the Clippers, is this their window to win it all? Because like after this season, it looks like they'll have to restructure a bit.
Yeah, I think it's this year. This is their best chance, and it sucks because we've been kind of waiting for this for so long, like for years, and it's it's just never worked out. Like either injury issues or just like bad luck in the playoffs. You remember they uh they blew their lead to the Nuggets in the bubble, right? And it's just like, man, when is it going to happen? And I mean, they're stringing the wins together, and it's looking really good. But man, they got to stay healthy. Like that whole squad is just like injury prone. It's terrifying. Like you're going to go into the playoffs with Russ as your number one. Like no thanks.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
after this year, like Paul George is a free agent. I mean,
Doesn't he have one more year or something,
does he
or a
have one
player
more?
option? I think he might have a play, or I have to double check on that. It's James Harden as well. That's
Yeah.
gonna be
Yeah,
a
yeah,
free
yeah.
agent.
Okay, so maybe it's Harden then. Yeah,
Either
yeah.
or.
Either way, those two guys are key to this all working, right?
Mhm.
And yeah, man, I think it's this year. It's got to be this year, right?
Otherwise, it's I mean, they're stuck if they don't do anything because they have no draft capital. They've
No
mortgaged their
picks.
future. They got nothing. It's and it's crazy. And you brought up a really good point as well. Is that and speaking of MVPs as well. I mean, third on the MVP power rankings is Shea
Mhm.
Gilgeous-Alexander. Like Shane, imagine if the Clippers still had SGA. Like instead of all of this, like that would have been
Oh,
nuts.
he's a dog. Like that he's a walking bucket. Like, and the fact that he's Canadian and then what he did over the summer, like that was just it was
Yeah.
awesome. But no, he's just kind of put OKC on his back a little bit, and
Yeah.
they obviously got a pretty good young core, and
Mhm.
they're going to be a team they're going to be a team that's going to be around the top for a while. But
Oh yeah.
yeah, the Clippers. It's crazy when you get that many personalities in the same room. Like you got to be like if you don't share the ball, you're not going to win. Like regardless of who's taking that shot, you
Yeah.
try like I tell my nephews and growing up playing sports, I'm like you don't share the puck or you don't share the ball, like ain't shit gonna happen, man. Like that's
Yeah.
not how the game's played. So yeah, the Clippers do a good job of that, and I think Harden like he likes to facilitate. So it just took him a bit to kind of figure
Acclimate.
out
Yeah.
who likes it where and all that kind of shit, and it
Absolutely.
seems to be working now. So.
Absolutely. Yeah. Just a lot of craziness going on in the league. Going to have a lot of coverage coming up within the next coming weeks as well. Heading back down to Orlando, hopefully, if Flare Air doesn't fuck us over again. And then, and yeah, lots of coverage. Going to be bringing more trade deadline coverage as well. And then, not to mention as well, some Super Bowl previews coming up in the next few weeks. But with that being said, let's transition over to everybody's favorite segment. Ding, ding, ding. It's DB2 fucking bets. Brought to you by not Bodog. We are done with Bodog. If you've been following us online, we've been doing a lot of content creation with Tony Bet, so make sure you check them out online. Doing a lot of great stuff and now making their way here to Canada. So very pleased to be working with them on a lot of content creation and sports reels, TikToks, all that kind of stuff. And yeah, really just pumping out some good quality shit. But to kick things off here, we'll kick it over to you, Bird, because your pick is going down on Friday, which is by the time this episode is released, is when you'll be listening to it. So that'll be the most recent game. But UE, speaking of the Clippers, Kawhi and the Clippers making their pit stop in Toronto to face the Raptors. Only 7.5-point spreads. So
Yeah.
7.5-point favorites on the spread. You like the Clippers?
Yeah, I do. That number seems pretty low. I have a feeling this could easily be a blowout by like halftime even.
Yeah.
No real injuries on the Clippers side.
Oh, damn. Did we lose him?
The bet was so good, it just
It's just, how could you not? Yeah, I mean, he's right. I mean, 7.5 here is a very small spread for what it is. I believe Emmanuel Quickly is also going to be out for the Raptors as well. So, yeah, take this to the moon. -7.5, take it by 1 million. I mean, I don't honestly think that the Raptors they're in tank mode. Finally, they are in tank mode. So hopefully this will be a game. And Harden, I mean, Bird, we've always whenever we've been we've gone to see, I believe I've seen Harden with you a couple times when he was with the Rockets in Toronto, but he always just cooks. So I mean, and Kawhi dominates. This is not even close. So I -7.5. That is get it while you can, because I don't think I don't think it's going to stay like that for very long.
Sorry, boys. Yeah, as you can see, my my internet cut out, so that was great.
Hey,
happens to the best of us. I was worried about that too. So don't worry about it.
Yeah, I'm sure you covered it though, Josh. There's not really much to say about this one. It's pretty cut and dry, I think.
By the time that there are some player props that are available, I was looking right now as we're recording this Thursday night, there weren't any available. But on the I've been loving the points, rebounds, and assist totals when you combine all three of those categories. And Kawhi will be somewhere in the high 30s, probably around 38.5 or so. Take the under on that, whatever it is. Take the under,
right.
Especially they're going to
blowout.
Yeah, it's a blowout. They're gonna sit them. The under for that has hit quite often. So I'm definitely liking that. Usually Paul George rebounds are around like 5.5 as well. And he likes to hit 6 and 7. So take a peek at those player props as well. Not official picks. Not speaking on Bird's behalf here, but
no, go ahead.
Couple.
I dropped out, so you got full reign to take over.
Couple praps that I like. So yeah, go ahead and check that out. Kicking it over to you, Shane. Shaner. Is it too early to start calling you nicknames like that?
No, you can drop whatever you like, buddy.
Kicking it over to some Pac over here. I love this pick. This is something that I actually hammered last night on Wednesday with the 1-0 final to the Leafs. Nice. Great game, by the way. That was a really solid win, and I love to see them squeak it out there in overtime. But when it comes to the Jets and Leafs rematch, we're going under with this.
I am, because a couple of reasons. Samsonov is playing unreal since he's kind of been reset. So he obviously is coming off a shutout. He looked good the game before too. So I don't have any concerns there right now. Hellebuck is playing for the Jets, so that's great. Scheifele might still be out. So Jets #1 center's out. And the Jets are like one of the league's best defensive teams. And I think over their last 7 games, they're like maybe averaging 2 goals. They've been shut out twice. Yeah. And the Leafs are averaging like 2.4 goals over the last 7 games. So I thought, why not do a little sprinkle on that under?
Yeah.
And see what happens. I mean, well, you never know. A couple early goals, a power play, and like hockey can turn pretty quick when it comes to hitting that magic 7. But they actually might move this line to 5.5 too. So
yeah, that's true.
If it's 5.5, I would maybe stay away from it, because it could be like a 4-2 game. But the Jets have only given up 4 goals once this year. So who knows?
I was just gonna say that I've read a stat somewhere that I was gonna say they've only allowed 3 or more like a couple times, like maybe twice.
Yeah,
like,
and they Boston scored 4 because they pulled the goalie. So
right.
The Jets are real sound defensively. Like they don't have much for stars, but they got a good coach, good system. So yeah, if you like to play the over, betting the under and watching the game though is like, that's fucking like kissing your sister, man. It sucks. Like
I love it. I love it, especially when it's 2 trash ass teams that can't fucking score a puck. Like that's I'd like.
You're just cheering for dump-ins though. It's kind of the worst, but no, if you like to sprinkle on the Leafs, which I normally do, that's the under on Saturday. So
no, absolutely, I love it. I'm definitely gonna hammer that to the moon. Jets, they're the real deal, aren't they?
Yeah, man, they are, and they got a GM that's looking to do some shit before the trade deadline. Hockey trade deadline is March 8th, so look for some more trades between the All-Star game once that's done. And a lot of teams have bye weeks now in the NHL, so once kind of teams figure out, where to tinker, you'll see a lot more action. But the Jets will be among some of those teams that are buying for sure.
No, Love that. Love that. Again, Jets and Leafs under 6.5, and that's at -115. All the odds that we've been giving you as well are
I gotta get
available
that now.
on TonyBet. Yeah, I'm gonna find that now.
Get that now before it changes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no doubt for sure, man.
For real. So make sure you check out TonyBet online as well for all of their latest odds. And then going over to some championship round NFL action. Look, I'm going off script. I'm not saying that the Lions.
The hell?
I'm not saying that the Lions are going to win. I think it's going to be close. I think the 49ers. I mean, like, it's in the script for them to make it into the Super Bowl. They're obviously an offensive juggernaut. They're definitely going to carve up the Lions secondary, but man, when it comes to the Lions, I mean, they've fought too hard this season, and +7.5, that's a lot of points, especially if you lose by a touchdown. Like, that ain't too bad. I think +7.5 is very attainable. They're going to give it all they got, and it's the battle of the game managers. So +7.5, Goff against Purdy. What a showdown. Yeah, I got to go Lions. I've been restoring the roar for a bit, and I can't jump off the Lions train now. Here's also the other thing too. Like, everyone, like, the Niners were 9.5-point favorites against the Packers, and look how close that game was, right? So it's like the Niners were outcoached, or Shanahan outcoached LaFleur, and was able to. And then there was also that pick with Jordan Love as well. So I mean, at the end of the day, I think the Lions got what it takes to cover this game, to cover the spread, +7.5. Found that -120 over on TonyBet. I don't know. Does anyone think otherwise? Because I mean,
7.5 is a lot of points for a conference game. Like,
right?
That seems like a lot for sure. So it's a flip, like a coin flip for me, honestly. Obviously, the 49ers offense is pretty scary, but I just kind of want to see, a battle between Eminem and Taylor Swift at the Super Bowl. Like, that's kind of where I'm leaning. I'm kind of going for the storyline more than
man.
I'm a Cowboys
Absolutely.
fan, so my fucking ship sailed a long time ago.
Oh,
so yeah, I like the Lions pick there. I'm all over that.
Yeah.
I'd love to change the halftime show to like a rap battle. Taylor Swift and Eminem.
It's kind of shitty they got no music with Usher, because that could have just worked out fucking perfectly.
Oh
man,
dude.
imagine that. Hey, I mean, so the script has already been released as well, and they have Reba McEntire and Post Malone for the halftime show special guests. So I mean, who knows? Maybe there's the league's got something up their sleeves, but I too think that it's going to be a Chiefs Lions Super Bowl. I don't know. I mean, it could be Ravens. It could be Ravens too. I'm going to take the Chiefs on the spread. Not an official pick here, but I'm leaning towards Chiefs on the spread.
Not an official pick. Well,
quick disclaimer there. Yeah,
yeah, that's what I just don't. I don't know if I'm comfortable enough to take the Chiefs on the money line as opposed to the spread. So there you have it.
Fair enough.
Just line shopping for now until I find one that I really like. Until I find a price that I like. But again, we're gonna go with the Lions with the NFC Championship game, +7.5 versus the Niners in San Fran. You better believe that Detroit fans are traveling in numbers, and they're gonna be looking for a bit of a takeover. Gonna be tough to do it in San Fran, but yeah. Going to be a crazy game. -120 again on TonyBet. And that about does it for this installment of the Down by Two podcast. Make sure you like and you share and subscribe and all that good shit. Make sure you check us out on our socials, and we are pumping out the content these days, baby. So make sure you check out TonyBet as well. All that good stuff online. One more time, Shane, buddy, thank you so much for jumping on the show. It was an absolute pleasure. Where can everybody find you online? And again, when it comes to your NHL All-Star Weekend stuff, give some of our listeners the lowdown on that.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it, guys. Thanks a lot for having me. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Check out any of the Nation Network's wide range of content, Daily Face Off. You can find me at theleafsnation.com, at Shug McSween on X or Twitter or whatever you feel like calling it any day of the week. But yeah, and I'll be, pumping out articles on the NHL trade rumors as well, especially getting closer to the deadline. That's always fun times there. So
yeah,
I'm happy to be here, boys. Had a lot of fun.
Love it, buddy. Thanks so much for jumping on, man. And thank you guys for tuning in. Catch you all next week. Cheers.